Hello and welcome to After Sound Review, and this time I will review one of the items that I really enjoy these days, not as a reviewer but as a hobbyist. Simply, I love hearing music, and for me this is one of the items that I use most this daily, besides the Rommer Phaselab. And then this is the 4 Acoustic 4P or the 4 Acoustic Symphonie. If you don't know about the 4 Acoustic, it's actually a German brand. It's actually manufacturing speakers, but apparently they also got into this IM business, and this is the 4 Acoustic Symphonie. Actually, I have reviewed the 2P before. It's using 1 dynamic driver and 2 band signature, and this is the more expensive one. It's cost at around 300 bucks with configuration driver of 1 dynamic driver and 4 band signature, and it has this switch that will give you passive tuning. Okay, let's just start from the build quality. They are using all resin. If you're already familiar with Sia Audio, Yume, Sorry Audio, or Mangert, they are all built really similar. You really get that feelings of deja vu because how similar they look, how similar they feels. But let me tell you, the tuning and the sound is definitely different. It's just the build quality and the looks that are similar. And it's using this all full resin, and you get this vent hole over here for the dynamic driver, and it's using nozzle, metal nozzle like this, also 2-pin connectors, and this thick cable that looks really durable. And when it comes to the fitting, for me, I have no problem at all. I can use them for hours without any discomfort. If I should say that, a little bit of discomfort that comes from this quite thick cable. It's quite heavy sometimes in my ears. And when it comes to the sound, I will use my AVX DSD, Qlix 5K, and also iBasso DX60 as my source. And they are really easy to drive. Even though you are using your phone at low volumes, it is really easy to drive them. And here's my playlist. So for the frequency response of the Stage Tone 4P is simply up to you. Because the switch is working, and it's definitely not a gimmick. And let me show you. This is the all switch turned off, and this is the all switch turned on. It may be almost like you just switch the volume up a little, and this is what happened. But if you want to play with the frequency response, yes, you can. This is the switch number 1 only turned on. You get that some added bass, and then this is the switch 2 turned on. You get added mid-range, both lower mid-range and upper mid-range, but still the same area of bass and treble. And then this is what happened if you turn on the switch 3. Yes, you get that added treble area. But for my personal favorite is simply just turn on the switch number 2, and you can see this is really balanced. I mean, you get that bass and you get that mid-range. It's not a huge mid-range elevation like what you get in maybe some Harman-ish IM, and then there's no treble roll-off, but it's not really pushed to the ears, so it's still a really balanced one. You don't really get treble roll off. It's quite extended. You get upper mid-range rise, just like what you need in the, the diffuse field area, the pinna gain areas. You still get some 3 kilohertz elevation, and then there's you'll get the bass area. And this is how it compares to the Harman IM like the Midrange KXSS. For me, it is simply more balanced somehow, because there are some people that are quite sensitive to this upper mid-range area that the Midrange KXSS gives. It could be a little bit shouty for some people, but for me, this Stage Tone 4P is better because of this. It has better cut in the upper mid-range, so it sounds more balanced. It's not as shouty, it's not as forward as the Midrange KXSS, and the treble on the KXSS feels more rolled off after this upper mid-range elevation, while this Stage Tone 4P is still stay in balance. So for me, yeah, this Stage Tone 4P is really a good IM because no matter what kind of switch you turn, it's still kind of balanced. It never goes to V-shape or too dark, nothing like that, but it's just still balanced. But yeah, definitely there's a change when you turn on or turn off the switch, and simply the switch turned on is my favorite one. So yeah, when it comes to frequency response and tonal balance, you can really change this stage tone for V according to your taste because of this switch. It definitely works, and it's not a gimmick, it's measurable, and you can hear them. The difference is really clear, and I gotta tell you, this is my favorite so far. The switch 1 down position, switch 2 up position, and switch 3 down position. It's giving me the best, one of the best balance I've ever heard. For me, it's really balanced, and I couldn't really give any critic to it because of how balanced it sounds in this configuration. Okay, let's talk about the bass. The bass itself is actually really strong and punchy, and it could be sometimes throw the balance a little bit off. But with these small ear tips, and when I fit them in my ears, I don't really get this full seal. Therefore, the bass is just enough for me, but keep giving this sub bass punch that could really deep and with great texture. So yeah, I'd suggest you to play a little bit with your isolation level and also your ear tips. And so far, this S ear tips, the default ear tips, and with my ears, that definitely one of the best bass in this price point. It's really punchy, it can really go deep, it gets good texture and speed, and yeah, it's just really good for EDM, for pop, for any music you throw at it. It's just a really versatile bass. If you want some punch, more punch to it, just switch the bass level up. And then when it comes to mid-range, oh my heavenly. With this configuration, as you have seen in the frequency response also, it is really balanced. It doesn't matter what kind of song you throw at it, whether it is a pop song, it is a rock song, or maybe even it's a instrumental, even it's like a powerful vocal like Josh Groban, or maybe Michael Bublé with some jazz music to it, Diana Krall, Josh Groban, and then you play some female vocal, Asian female vocal like Lisa, maybe from even Blackpink, Taeyeon, IU, Joyce Chu. No matter how many songs you throw at them, for me, it's a really balanced vocal. I still get that powerful, I still get that sweetness, I still get that power, I still get that energy to the vocals, so it's just a really balanced sounding IM. Even though you throw something, some sibilance-prone music, for example, like the Ed Sheeran, Galway Girl, it definitely still gives that balance level. So it's a really good mid-range, it's a really balanced mid-range, and I wouldn't change anything. It's just a really good one, and I like it. And any song I throw at it, it plays beautifully. And then when it comes to treble, I gotta admit, when I switch the treble switch up, it's a little bit too much for my taste. It could get a little bit harsh, even though it definitely gives a little bit edge for violin music, for example like La Campanella or La Primavera. But I like my music with this switch down, therefore it's still giving good extension in the treble. It's not really extended, but it still really gives the cymbal crash, good cymbal crash, and good extension even for violins. It's just a really balanced treble in this way. So yeah, with this switch, and again, after some playing with ear tips and also isolation level, for me this is the most balanced I am at this price point. Yeah, at least in my review list, in this price point, which is around 300 bucks, this is simply one of the best tonal balance I've ever heard. Yes, I really love them. And when it comes to technicality, I should say that it also really one of the really best at its price point. Again, I have ever heard some really good IM with good technicalities at this price point. For example, the Sorry Audio 4, and also the, if I should say, the Moondrop Blessing 2, And for me, this is on the same level. Yeah, if you are familiar with that kind of separation and technicalities, for me they are this also on the same level. So yeah, it's just a really good. I am both tonalities and technicalities, but most importantly for me, I love how they tune this in the tonalities department, especially when this switch with the switch configuration, 1 down, 2 up, and 3 down. And how do they compare with this $270 IM like Tantiem Oxygen? I should say that Tantiem Oxygen is one of the best dynamic driver that I've ever heard. It's really balanced and it has this really black background and clarity in it that other dynamic driver don't really have. But I should say, even though I like this clarity, not clarity, I mean this cleanness better in this Tantiem Oxygen, but when it comes to separation and also technicalities and also the overall tonal balance, I should say that this 4P is still much better. It's definitely better. But if you have a single dynamic driver, you might still like this Oxygen. It's just really special in its own kind, in its own market. A single dynamic driver never dies for me, but it's just not at the same level as separated as this for acoustic. It's just more coherent in this Oxygen. And you have heard that I praise them a lot, but how do they compare with one of my best IM2, the Moondrop S8? Moondrop S8 actually cost twice this 4P for acoustic 4P, and for me, I gotta say that I like the tonal balance of the 4P better than the Moondrop S8. Yes, it's not as shouty as the Moondrop S8, even though I love my Moondrop S8 so much. I gotta say, in some songs I could hear that shoutiness, yeah, but not in this 4P. It's just more balanced, and yeah, it's just no matter what kind of song I throw at them, it just plays more balanced. But if you try some of your best tracks with best recordings from the 4P and then to the Moondrop S8, you will definitely get this kind of upgrade feeling. No matter how, this Moondrop S8 is definitely more detailed. It's not as grandiose in soundstage as this Stage Tone 4P, but it's more, it's more separated. You get more better details. Something you never heard in this 4P, you get that in this S8, and also it's more coherent. And the texture of the vocals, I should say that this Moondrop S8 is actually my current favorite, even though it's not as balanced, but somehow there's something special in the Moondrop S8, especially in its texture for the vocal. It's just, it's just maybe a little bit subjective, but yeah, that's why I still love this Moondrop S8 so much. But let me tell you the truth that these three currently are my favorite IMs. And the one that I use the most is this for acoustic 4P, because they are simply the most balanced of them all. And even though I play them over my phones, it's just already good enough. But this Tantiem Oxygen and Moondrop S8, for me, it's much more recommendable to use this kind of source. It's much a dedicated source. But this 4P, even though you're using your phone, it's already good. It's just really kind of mainstream sound in a really good way and in really balanced way. So I think that's all for me. I really love this 4P. So thank you for Acoustic for providing me with this review unit. And if you like this review, please give like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.